On June 13, 2025, Israel launched a series of large-scale precision strikes against Iran's nuclear and military infrastructure. The operation was given a code name. After months of research, we mapped out these secret Iranian nuclear sites, some of which are hidden deep underground, while others are in plain sight. Each location reveals a part of a larger picture. But more importantly, we need to understand why. Israel is so determined to stop Iran from enriching nuclear weapons because, according to Israeli intelligence, an Iranian centrifuge could be just days away from producing a nuclear bomb, not forgetting the detailed process of their production. We will also analyze Israel's strategy, examine the targeted sites, and reveal the true reasons behind this dramatic escalation. All of this in the next video. Iran has several nuclear programs, but let's take a look at some of the key underground facilities. First, we have the Fordow nuclear program. This is an enrichment facility built into a mountain, which provides better protection from potential bombing compared to the fuel enrichment plant. The second facility is the Natanz nuclear facility. It houses several sites, including 2 enrichment stations, a huge underground fuel enrichment plant, and an above-ground pilot fuel enrichment plant. The third nuclear facility, Isfahan, is the largest nuclear technology center, located on the outskirts of the city. It includes a fuel plate manufacturing plant and a uranium conversion plant capable of processing uranium into uranium hexafluoride, which is then fed into centrifuges. The fourth nuclear facility, Kandab, has a partially constructed heavy water research reactor. It was originally called Arak, but is now known as Kandab. Finally, we have Bushehr, the only operational nuclear power plant in Iran, located on the coast of the Persian Gulf. It uses Russian fuel, which is then returned to Russia after use, thereby reducing the risk of proliferation. Let's take a look at a simplified version of how the process of mining and enriching nuclear energy works in Iran. This is uranium ore, and it is extracted using a drill that pulls an expander up through the well, widening it. Then the crushed ore goes into what's called the extraction chamber. Then a bulldozer, operated remotely to keep the operator at a safe distance from falling rocks, lifts the uranium ore. Let's fast forward a bit. The uranium is then condensed, crushed, and placed in a centrifuge for further enrichment. Everyone talks about centrifuge enrichment, but let's take a look at how it actually works. In this visualization, the green dots represent uranium-238 atoms and the blue dots represent the concentration of uranium-235 atoms. This is the first batch of natural uranium, which contains only 0.7% uranium-235. Here in this image, we have 5% low-enriched uranium, which is used for commercial nuclear power plants. Finally, we have weapons-grade uranium, which contains 90% uranium-235. As you can see, almost all of the uranium-238 has been removed, and it is replaced by uranium-235, represented by the blue color. Let's show how this is extracted with a super simplified animation. The centrifuge consists of a high-quality tube with a rotating motor at the bottom and a feed pipe at the top. Uranium is fed into the centrifuge as a gas called uranium hexafluoride. When the motor spins at high speed, the heavier uranium-238 separates from the lighter uranium-235. With the help of centrifugal force, uranium-235 rises to the top and is collected in this part of the centrifuge, while the heavier green-colored uranium-238 falls to the bottom of the centrifuge. And the enrichment process is complete. Let's see how Israel uses its air force to strike nuclear targets. At 3:30 in the morning, Israel launched about 200 fighter jets, deploying more than 330 munitions to strike dozens of nuclear and military targets, Iran's main enrichment facility, and missile production complexes. Although these routes may seem simple, they involve complex planning, including calculations for aerial refueling and coordinating strike aircraft to pass through Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. They also neutralize potential air defense threats in Syria and Iraq to ensure a safer window in case they were attacked. Israel's strategy was to attack Iran in three waves. The first wave targeted ground-based air facilities, radar installations, and air defense headquarters in Tehran, Elam, and Khuzestan. The second wave focused on destroying ballistic missiles, and finally, the third wave targeted military production facilities. To avoid Iranian air defenses, they used ROX missiles, which were intended to strike from positions closer to enemy targets without requiring aircraft to penetrate deep into Iranian territory. Surprisingly, the Iranian Bavar 373 air defense system performed better than expected. We will also look at how this air defense missile works and the strength of the Iranian Air Force. Let's first take a look at the Israeli fighter jets used in the operations. The main force consists of the 5th generation F-35 fighter, the F-16 air defense aircraft, and the F-15 attack aircraft. They covered about 1,600 kilometers, which is around 1,000 miles. Meanwhile, the preferred weapons were long-range supersonic missiles and the next generation air-to-ground missile with an extended range. To cover such distances between flights, tanker aircraft were used. This measure was taken in case they needed to engage in an air battle with Iranian fighters, as well as when returning from the mission. This is an Israeli next-generation air-to-ground ballistic missile with an extended range. The Israeli strike also killed General Hossein Salami, one of the country's most powerful and influential military commanders. This also allows the weapon to hit targets that have moved from their original positions. But in high-threat areas, these bombs usually use an inertial guidance system with support to direct them to the general target area. Before switching to an infrared homing head for the final stage of flight, destroying targets with deep penetration or a fragmentation explosion as needed. Surprisingly, the Bavar 373 and S-300 missiles successfully intercepted Israeli drones and several missiles. Let's briefly take a look at the Bavar 373. This system uses SAD-4 missiles, which are placed in two rectangular launch containers. It is equipped with a phased array antenna for tracking both aerodynamic targets and ballistic missiles at medium and long ranges. One of the radars used in Bavar 373 is the Mirai 4 phased array antenna with a range of 450 kilometers, which Iran claims can simultaneously track up to 200 targets. The Israeli attack can be divided into three separate stages, the first, second, and third stages, each targeting critical components of Iran's military infrastructure. The first wave is aimed at disabling Iran's air defense systems in Tehran, Elam, and Kazis. Here are some of the confirmed attacks in the region, also confirmed by Iran, that were hit or partially damaged. The main targets include surface-to-air missile systems or surface-to-air missile sites and radar installations that are crucial for early detection and protection against air attacks. Iran's air defense headquarters confirmed that the attacks took place and were aimed at undermining the country's ability to track and respond to future incoming threats. Meanwhile, the second wave is targeting Iran's missile capabilities, specifically aiming to neutralize both ballistic and hypersonic missile systems. At least 3 missile bases were attacked in the second round or second wave of the Israeli strike. Israeli Defense Forces drones also targeted the secret military base at Parshin on the outskirts of Tehran. Finally, one drone broke through Iranian air defenses and hit the base, while others were shot down. These strikes are aimed at preventing Iran from launching retaliatory missile attacks. The third and final wave is aimed at destroying key military barracks and production facilities necessary for Iran's missile production and military logistics. The targets include the Qadiri barracks in Hassan Khan Castle, missile production and training centers, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Air Force logistics centers, and the Amali barracks, which are reportedly included in this phase to disrupt logistical support and command structures. Israel also attempted to target missile bases where Fateh 1 and Fateh 2 missiles are stationed. It was used for the first time and is one of Iran's advanced missile systems. What sets it apart from other ballistic missiles is its ability to accelerate outside the Earth's atmosphere, while its aerodynamically controlled surfaces allow for maneuverability, in order to evade the famous missile defense system developed by Israel. Israel also wanted to strike these ground-based ballistic missiles that targeted Israel Defense Forces bases, and Israel also wants to dismantle them. Shahab 3 is the basis for all of Iran's medium-range ballistic missiles and uses liquid fuel. From space, military satellites detect targets like this heavily fortified bunker. It is also believed that the Israelis have tested these newly built long-range artillery missiles. The data coordinates must be instructed and assigned to the designated strike aircraft to carry out the attack with precision without entering enemy airspace. This is the long-range artillery, a high-precision ballistic missile capable of striking strategic targets deep within enemy territory, from jet fighters to heavy aircraft like this one. According to the company, it can cover vast distances, delivering a rapid counterstrike without engaging enemy defense systems or entering enemy airspace. This is achieved by striking from above at a 90-degree angle at supersonic speed. This air-launched ballistic missile can penetrate air defense shields, carrying a warhead that can be guided and an inertial navigation system that is immune to jamming. It is also equipped with a massive warhead that allows it to neutralize critical targets with a single strike. You might ask, where are the Iranian fighter jets, and how do they relate to Israel in this attack? Let's break this down into parts. To counter F-16 and F-35 aircraft, the Iranians have what is called the tip of the spear. It consists of American-made aircraft, about 64 F-4s, which Iran purchased during the Shah's regime. The F-4 is Iran's main strike aircraft and is considered the backbone of the Iranian Air Force. In addition, Iran has about 40 F-14s, also American-made, which still have the capability to pose a threat to the F-35. Iran also acquired about 30 MiG-29 multi-role fighters from Russia, which interestingly were designed to counter the F-16. The second part of the air defense is the S-300 air defense system, which costs $800 million and is capable of intercepting targets at a distance of 120 kilometers, which is about 75 miles. When launched on a ballistic trajectory, it can reach a distance of up to 400 kilometers, which is about 250 miles. But they could intercept low-flying cruise missiles, otherwise the destruction could have been much more extensive if it weren't for this air defense system. Please subscribe and click the bell to see more videos.